Did Diddy beat the feds, or did he just survive them? After one of the most shocking celebrity trials in recent years, Sean P. Diddy Combs walked out with a partial win and a prison sentence. But was it really a victory, or just damage control? Let's break down exactly what happened, from the charges to the verdict to his sentence, and ask the real question: did he beat the feds? Section 1. The charges. It all began in late 2024 when federal prosecutors in New York dropped a legal bombshell that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Sean Diddy Combs, one of the most powerful figures in music and business, was indicted on charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transporting women across state lines for prostitution. According to the indictment, the case revolved around what prosecutors described as freak-off parties, secret high-end gatherings that allegedly spanned more than a decade. These events, they claimed, were far more than private parties. The government accused Diddy of financing travel, luxury accommodations, and cash payments for escorts, effectively running a network of exploitation disguised as extravagance. Diddy's legal team immediately went on the offensive. They called the allegations twisted fiction, arguing that every encounter was consensual and that prosecutors were stretching the law to make an example out of a black mogul. They also fought to suppress damaging evidence, particularly videos, text messages, and testimony from former employees who claimed they had witnessed coercion, abuse, and intimidation behind closed doors. As the media frenzy intensified, the courtroom became a stage. Supporters rallied outside, calling it a witch hunt, while critics said it was long overdue accountability. By the time the trial began, the tension was palpable. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, and the world waited to see whether one of hip-hop's biggest icons would fall from grace or fight his way back into the light. Section 2. The trial. The trial began in May 2025 and stretched on for nearly 7 intense weeks, gripping the nation like a legal thriller playing out in real life. Each day brought new revelations, shocking testimony, and a media frenzy that surrounded the courthouse. Prosecutors presented a carefully constructed case, calling in a lineup of witnesses, from former assistants and ex-partners to longtime security staff, who painted what they described as a pattern of control and manipulation behind the glamour of Diddy's empire. They spoke of secrecy, fear, and loyalty bought through power and money. The defense, however, went on the offensive. They questioned the motives of every witness, arguing that the accusations were built on exaggeration, personal grudges, and the lure of fame and financial gain. Their message was clear: this wasn't justice, it was opportunism. After weeks of back and forth arguments, emotional cross-examinations, and endless speculation from the public, the jury finally returned with its verdict, a split decision that stunned both sides. Diddy was found not guilty on the most severe charges: racketeering and sex trafficking by force or coercion, charges that, if upheld, could have sent him away for life. However, he was found guilty on 2 lesser counts: transporting individuals for prostitution across state lines. It was a tense, unforgettable moment in the courtroom. The prosecution's case had faltered on its biggest claims, and while Diddy escaped the possibility of a life sentence, the verdict still left a shadow, a complicated mix of relief, controversy, and unanswered questions. Section 3. The sentence. On October 3rd, 2025, the courtroom fell silent as Judge Arun Subramanian prepared to deliver one of the most anticipated sentences in recent memory. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but the tension was so thick you could almost feel it through the walls. Everyone, from reporters to fans waiting outside, knew that whatever came next would define the legacy of one of hip-hop's most influential and now most controversial figures. When the verdict finally came, it hit like a thunderclap: 50 months in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release and a $500,000 fine. The sentence was firm, but not as harsh as prosecutors had hoped. They had pushed for more than 11 years, citing what they described as years of exploitation and emotional manipulation. Diddy's defense team, on the other hand, had pleaded for leniency, asking for barely a year, arguing that he had already lost everything that once defined his life: his reputation, his freedom, and his empire. Judge Subramanian chose a middle ground, a decision that balanced accountability with a measure of mercy. As he looked directly at Diddy, his words carried the weight of moral judgment. "A history of good works can't wash away the harm in this case. You abused your power, and those you claim to care for paid the price." Diddy, visibly shaken, addressed the court through tears. His voice cracked as he said, "I lost everything. I hate myself for the pain I caused." He admitted to years of substance abuse and promised to seek help, acknowledging that fame had become his downfall. The judge, recognizing his admission and the potential for rehabilitation, approved Diddy for the Residential Drug Abuse Program, RDAP, a federal initiative that allows inmates to reduce their sentence by up to a year if they successfully complete it. That means in reality, Diddy could serve roughly 3 years behind bars, a relatively short time for a man whose world had completely unraveled. As the gavel came down, it marked not just the end of the trial, but the end of an era. One that began with music, power, and influence, and ended in regret, redemption, and silence. Section 4. Did he really beat the feds? Let's be honest, Diddy didn't walk away a free man, but compared to what was on the table, he dodged a bullet. Where Diddy won, he beat the major charges. The feds couldn't make the racketeering or coercion counts stick. He avoided decades in prison. Instead of life, he got just over 4 years. He'll likely serve less. With programs and credit, he could be out before 2028. He lives to rebuild. Many people thought this trial would finish him completely. It didn't. Where he lost, he's still a convicted felon. Federal convictions don't disappear easily. He's serving real time. Even 3 years in federal custody is major. He lost public trust. The stories, images, and testimonies are burned into public memory. He faces civil fallout. Several alleged victims are now pursuing civil suits using trial evidence. So did he beat the feds? Partially, yes. He outplayed them on the biggest charges, but he didn't walk away clean. The system still got its pound of flesh. Section 5. Will this destroy his reputation? Now comes the question everyone's asking. Can Diddy ever recover his reputation? Let's break it down. The brand damage. Diddy's image was built on success, power, and control. Now those same traits are being reinterpreted as manipulation. Endorsement deals are gone, his music streams dropped, and business partners distanced themselves quickly. Even Bad Boy Records' name took collateral damage. The industry impact. The entertainment industry has a short memory, but not when it comes to federal convictions tied to abuse. Diddy's influence may never fully return, even if he resumes music after release. Future projects will face boycotts, label hesitation, and streaming platform caution. Public perception. The internet never forgets. Every interview clip, every apology, every tear will be replayed and reinterpreted. Even if Diddy reinvents himself spiritually or philanthropically, the public will always associate his name with this trial. Still, redemption isn't impossible. Some stars have rebuilt after scandal, but they had to disappear first, do the work privately, and re-emerge years later. Whether Diddy can do that depends on how genuine his next chapter really is. So, did Diddy beat the feds in court? Maybe halfway. In the public eye, that's another story. He might have escaped the harshest sentence, but his empire, his brand, and his legacy will never be the same. What do you think? Was this a victory, a lesson, or the end of an era for P. Diddy? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into celebrity trials and justice in the spotlight. Thanks for watching.